It's a brisk day on November 2nd in the rural community of Mountain Gate, California, nestled in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains. And for the Papini family, it starts out like any typical morning.
I remember everything about that day. Around 6:50 a.m., my wife was on her way to go check on our daughter, Violet. And we met there at the door, and I gave her a kiss and a hug, and went right out the door.
That evening, when Keith returns home from work as a Best Buy audio-video specialist, he expects his usual boisterous welcome from wife Sherri and the kids.
I pulled up, I saw our car there, and I opened the door expecting my son comes 100 miles an hour right at me, and then usually Violet right behind him. We do what we call, our family snuggles.
Instead, he's greeted with unsettling silence.
I looked in a few different rooms and I couldn't find anybody. I thought, okay, maybe they're outside. And I looked around outside, but at the time I was like, I'm sure they're all together. I had no reason to believe otherwise.
He opens up an app on his iPhone to see if he can track Sherri's location.
I did the, Find My iPhone app, and it showed where her phone was. So I assumed that's where she was, and I assumed that the kids were with her.
Where did the Find My Phone app show that Sherri was and you thought with the kids?
On near our mailbox, which is a ways away. It's about a mile away, actually.
Are you worried?
Not quite yet.
Keith jumps into his wife's car and follows the breadcrumb pings on the map toward the mailboxes.
So I got in her car and I immediately drove down to the end of my mailbox, and I was, anticipating I would see her.
But his family's whereabouts remain elusive. They are nowhere in sight.
I then called my mom and asked her if they spoke, and she said she hadn't.
Keith dials his children's daycare center.
First thing I said is, what time did Sherri pick up the kids today? And when she said the kids are here, that was like, something is wrong. There's something wrong right now.
Keith's relationship with Sherri is a rare love story dating back to childhood. A storybook beginning starting with a 7th grade kiss. When they reconnected years later, Keith even presented the notes she had written him back in middle school.
I remembered that all these years ago, I kept her notes that she wrote me. And I dug them up and I handed her a box, and of course it was like all our little notes back and forth.
Soon enough, Keith would find himself on one knee, asking for Sherri's hand in marriage.
I was just head over heels for her, and I knew I wanted to marry this girl.
The striking couple tie the knot in 2009. They look like a fairy tale couple. She like a princess, he like a prince. Their photos together seem as if they're ripped from the pages of a glossy magazine.
They do just very sweet things for one another, and just kind of things that you read out of a novel or see on TV.
The young couple put down roots in their hometown just outside of Redding, California. The Papinis move into this 2-story house. It's comfortable because it's the house Keith grew up in. And by all accounts, Sherri, a stay-at-home mom, treasures her family life, doting on 4-year-old Tyler and 2-year-old Violet, and on her husband. Sherri's been called Supermom. Where does the Supermom name come from?
She wakes up in the morning, has her kids dressed, their meals planned out for them, and their activities for the day. And not just that, she's just a super wife. Like when she makes a pie, she doesn't just make a pie, she makes it look gorgeous.
But now that Supermom is missing, and Keith is frantic to find her. He goes to the mailboxes where that Find My Phone app first pinpointed Sherri's iPhone.
Again, I wasn't looking for a phone, I was looking for Sherri. When I didn't find Sherri, I went to the other road, came right back, and I parked, and I got out, and now I'm looking for a phone because it's saying it's here, it's here. And it did not take me long. It was right off the road.
Keith is stunned. It's Sherri's iPhone, lying in the grass, strands of her blonde hair tangled in the headphones.
If she would have lost her phone driving home one day and she put it on the roof of the car and it fell off, okay, whatever, I could see that happening. But the cars were home and the kids were at school. I knew something was wrong.
Now Keith goes into full crisis mode. He takes 2 pictures of Sherri's iPhone and then dials 911.
I wanted to make a clear message. This is real. You need to get here now. I don't know how many phone calls 911 gets on this particular thing. 90% of the time, you know, they went to the store, or they're hiding under the bed, or it's not that. I knew she was taken.
Keith is convinced Sherri woke up that morning, went out for a jog, training for an upcoming Thanksgiving Day race. He thinks she turned out their driveway down a quiet country road, never came back. News of Sherri's disappearance quickly spread to the family.
When I heard Keith's voice on the phone, I knew it was absolutely real. And when I hung up the phone, I fell down and just started crying and told my husband that my sister's gone and they don't know where she is, and I don't know if I'm ever going to see her again.
A missing mother of two from Reading is now the focus of a story that is capturing nationwide attention.
But how will this father tell his son why his mommy didn't come home?
I picked him up and I told him I had something important to tell him, and he jumped he jumped up on the couch with me, and he knew something was up. And he said, "Dad, you can tell me anything."